Good morning. Welcome to the new iTunes Connect. I'm Dave Van Tassel, Engineering Manager here at iTunes Connect. We have a lot of great things to talk to you about today. To do so, I'm going to need the clicker over on this desk right here. It all starts with a new design. We want to take you on a little bit of a walkthrough, some of the features that we've added, some of the new flows. Second thing is app previews. It's a great chance for you to upload a video, 15 to 30 seconds, dynamic view of what makes your app magical. App bundles, you can bundle up to 10 apps together with an easy setup flow in iTunes Connect. App analytics. We're very excited about this. This is the best end-to-end view of your app with data that only Apple can provide. And last, test flight beta testing. We're very excited about this, give you a little more insight and depth into what we have planned for test flight beta testing. So we start with the home page of iTunes Connect. An all-new design. We have the same sections as today with great new icons. If you have any news or announcements for you, like perhaps you haven't signed the latest contract that we released, that's going to go right there on the top. But we came here to work today, so let's jump into My Apps and see what we have. The first thing you're going to notice is it's wall-to-wall apps. We're trying to give as much space as we can for all these apps, fit more apps onto the page. At the same time, giving each app a little more space to breathe, the full name of the app, the complete iTunes Connect status, easier to tell the difference between waiting for review and in review. Also, we've added a little badge there to show the difference between iOS and Mac apps. If you came to the My Apps page to check on perhaps the status of an app, see if the hair salon app has been approved and is ready to go, there at the top, we have a nice search bar. Type in hair salon, and all the hair salon apps float to the top. I see it's all green. Green is good. My app's been approved. It's ready for sale. I'm off to go check and see how it's doing. We've also added some filtering. You can see there in the top right-hand corner, the search by status. You can filter and see I have 24 different statuses. 23 are ready for sale, and I have one prepared for upload. If I want to click on one of these statuses, then I'll filter away all the other apps and show just the apps with this iTunes Connect status. Some of you like the list view. We've improved that as well. More apps on one page. The same search and filtering that we provided on the icon view also exists on this list view. You can sort by the different column names, change that up, and what's great is if you leave the My Apps page and come back, or if you sign out of iTunes Connect, when you come back to My Apps, we'll take you right back to the list view. We're going to go back into the icon view and jump into an app. What we've done here is combine the app pages and the version pages into one. You can see at the top we have the app icon, and going across, we have different tabs. We have pricing. We have in-app purchases, manage your game center. We take you by default to the version tab and to the ready for sale version of my app. I can see the screenshots right there in front of me and other metadata as it goes. What we want to do is create a new version. So we click in the upper right-hand corner there is the new version button, and we're provided with a window to enter in our version number. You'll notice there's no what's new text on this window. This information is still required, but we understand that you don't always have all the marketing data ready when you want to take actions like create a new version. And in fact, we've added this to the new app flow as well. When you create a new app, all you need is a name, a bundle ID, and a SKU. This is the new iTunes Connect, right? You can come back when you're ready to do those descriptions, those screenshots, and what have you. All right, so we're going to create this new version. It'll create a new sub-tab there with the 1.0.2. It's copied over the screenshots from the previous version like normal. We can see that the what's new in this version text hasn't been filled in. I can fill it in now, either way. I keep scrolling down, and I see the rest of My version information, I can change that right now, easy to edit. I can save and come back later. But we came here today to create the iPad version of this app, make it universal. So I'm going to click on the iPad tab. And what I need for an iPad is new screenshots. That's really the only metadata difference between iPhones and iPads. And screenshots are great. 5 snapshots of what's going on in my app right now. But we also want to give a more dynamic experience. We want to upload an app preview, giving people more insight. What is it about my app that's magical, that makes people want to click on it? So we're going to go ahead and upload this app preview here as well. Now we could do screenshot 1, then upload screenshot 2, and then upload screenshot 3, and then upload the video. But this is the new iTunes Connect, and we're just going to drag and drop all 6 files at once. And in they come. You can see the app preview is going to be first, followed by the screenshots. And what we've done on the app preview is selected a default poster frame. The poster frame is the image that people will see on the App Store before they click play on your video. If you don't like this poster frame, it's easy to change. The new iTunes Connect. We hover over the poster frame image. We click Edit Poster Frame, and up pops the video itself and the poster frame that we've selected. We can press play on the video, find that spot that we want. We can drag and drop. Anytime we find a frame that we like, we click Set Poster Frame, we have to go. I know in my case, the frame that I would like to use is at the end of my video, so I'm just going to scrub on through, find this one that I like. This is great. I click Set as Poster Frame, and that's all there is to it. I'm done. We can clap. This is fun. Now I have my new poster frame with my app preview, my screenshots, any other changes that I want to make, and click Save, and I'm good to go. This is what it looks like in the App Store, the same idea. We have the poster frame video right here, followed by all the screenshots. We've talked a lot about the app preview. Let's take a look and see what one looks like. And that's it. These are really great. I'm excited to see what you come up with, further enticing people to download your app. A few things to mention. Remember, an app preview is a UI walkthrough. They want to see your app. What is it about your app that's great? They don't want to be sold to. It's not an ad. You can capture this video straight from iOS 8 onto OS X Yosemite. App previews are up to 30 seconds in length, and we accept both H.264 and ProRes content. And that's app previews. Then we move on to app bundles. App bundles is a great feature to bundle together apps of the same kind. Giving your customers and people in the App Store just one choice instead of many on what to download. The first step, if you want to have an app bundle, is, well, what apps do I put in my bundle? So you have all the apps in your head, whether it's iTunes Connect, and you're trying to think about it. You got to choose some of them. You can have up to 10. In this case, I'm going to pick 4 of them and create an app bundle. And this is great. It offers more value for the people on the App Store. It's a single install to get all of your great apps at once. And we've included in this Complete My Bundle. It's the same feature we give for music and for TV, where if somebody has already purchased one or more of the apps in your bundle, then they'll get a discounted price to purchase the rest of your bundle to encourage them to get all of your apps. So that was step 1, selecting what apps go in my bundle. The next thing we're going to want is the metadata to show in the iTunes Store. We're going to need a bundle name. We're going to need description. It's probably going to need screenshots, app preview. Got to select categories, rating, marketing URLs, privacy URLs, all these different pieces. And so we want to make this as simple as possible for you, and we realize that we have a lot of this information already. So it starts with information that is specific to the bundle. Each bundle will need its own name. It'll need a description about the bundle. Obviously, it has its own price, has its own SKU, and a marketing URL so you can market this bundle on its own. And then we have this information that comes from the first app. It was that key app, the first app for this bundle. So the first screenshot will come from that app. The first app preview that you see in the App Store will come from that app. The categories of your bundle will match that of the first app. And the App Store contact information, the app review information, all of that will be pulled from the first app as well as the privacy URL. The rest of the information from your bundle will come from all of the apps in the bundle. If you have 3 apps that are 4+ and 1 app is 12+, your bundle will be rated 12+. If you want your bundle to be made for kids, all of the apps in the bundle must be made for kids. The rest of the screenshots and app previews will come from the other apps in your bundle, an equal share for every app in your bundle. And for keywords, we'll take all of the keywords from all of the apps in the bundle and apply those. You don't have to re-enter any new keywords. Let's take a look and see how we do this in iTunes Connect. We come back to the My Apps page. We click New App Bundle. The first thing we want to enter is our new app bundle name, Toca Toy Box. We start selecting the apps. At this point, I realize, okay, this first app is important. It's key. So I know which 4 I want in my app bundle, but I would like to make this one that primary app. Once I've selected my apps, I can now see I have my screenshots have already been populated for me from that first app. I can fill in the app bundle description, the marketing URL, privacy policy URL has already been done. I scroll down further. I need to select a price tier. It needs to be a discounted price tier, one tier less than the sum of all the apps in the bundle. It is a discount. As well as give it a SKU, and then the rest of the information has already been filled in. The categories, the rating. I'm good to go. At this point, I'm done. I've created my app bundle. I'm ready to submit it. One thing to remember with app bundles is that once they've been submitted to the App Store, you can't change the apps in a bundle. They're immutable. If you want to make a bundle with now 5 apps or 6 apps instead of this 4, then just create a new bundle and submit that to the App Store. Here's what it looks like on the App Store. You can see your app icon. You can see all the apps in the bundle. The app preview and screenshots come down below. You can have up to 10 paid apps in an app bundle. You have to give it that discounted price. The first preview and screenshot come from that first app. We're going to link to all the other apps in your bundle right there on the App Store. And with Complete My Bundle, people have already purchased 1 or more of those apps. We'll get a discounted price to purchase the rest of your bundle and get the whole package. And that's App Bundles. With that, I'd like to turn the time over to Tristan to talk about App Analytics.
Thank you, Dave. My name is Tristan Kosminka, Engineering Manager working on App Analytics. Really excited today to show you what we've been up to. Before we get into it, let's talk about what it takes to build a great app. We're all here this week to learn tips and tricks on building a great app. And we know that it all starts with a great idea. Every app that's in the store today that achieves great success starts with a great idea. And how do you capture that and present that to your customers? Do that with thoughtful design, pixel-perfect design, intuitive design. You focus on really concrete flows that make sense to your customers. We write bug-free code. We all here write bug-free code. Worked on my device. We test, and we test, and we test some more. So we have automated unit tests, automated UI tests. We're going to talk more about our beta testing service as well. This is a really important part of writing and creating a great app. Finally, we submit to the store. These are all pieces, developer responsibility that we're familiar with today, and Apple does a fantastic job supporting you throughout this process. Great tools with Xcode, more great tools and services we're talking about today, but we know that our job is not done as developers. Once we submit to the store, there's this whole new set of responsibilities. We're not all done. And this is after launch, and this is what App Analytics is all about. These new responsibilities can influence this chart. Hopefully, if you have apps in the store, this chart is familiar to you. You have your downloads over time, it's increasing, and you see points of acceleration over time as well. Let's talk about what it takes to influence that and why App Analytics is really important. So first, our App Store presence. We can see on this chart now I have that orange dot, and I see that App Store presence really can influence my downloads. App Store presence is your name, your description, your keywords. We have these app bundles now. We also have our App Store previews. These are great ways to get your app to have more downloads, more customers, more people using your app. Marketing. Once you have a great app, you want to get the word out. As developers, we don't just submit to the store. We submit it to our social networks. We send it to our friends and our family. We create a homepage, potentially some newsletters. Marketing is a really important piece. New updates. When you're building an application and submit it to the store, your customers crave new content. New levels, new ways to engage existing customers, and new ways to attract more customers. Your app needs to stay fresh and unique, and to do that, you go through this constant release and build cycle. Next is advertising. Advertising and marketing, often used in the same vocabulary, but advertising is a little bit different. As a developer, you may choose to pay for advertising, and that's a big decision. You want to know if it was worth the advertising investment, if you got a nice return on that. App Analytics is there to help you inform those decisions. All of these dots, all of these lines, you want to monitor, measure, and see how they're changing over time, and App Analytics is there to provide those answers. And that is why we use App Analytics, because App Analytics provides answers. It helps you answer questions like, how's my app doing? Are people returning to my app? Are people converting on your in-app purchases? App Analytics helps you make good advertising decisions. And this is one I'm really excited about. App Analytics helps you reveal missed opportunities. With App Analytics, you can see that your App Store presence is great in the United States, and a lot of customers are looking at your app in the United States and actually turning into real customers as opposed to potential customers. The same may not be the case in Germany. With App Analytics, we can see that the potential customers in Germany can become actual customers if we focus on our German App Store presence. Localization, really understanding the German culture and understanding that marketing to Germany may be a completely different animal, and we can do that with our App Store presence, and App Analytics can point out those areas. Finally, after we launch, it's all about building a better app, and App Analytics is there to tell us and point us in the right direction to do that. That is why App Analytics is important. So with that, how do we look at this at Apple? How are we looking at App Analytics as a product and a service for app developers? We're focusing on this concept of the customer lifecycle, and this involves acquisition to engagement. We want you as developers to be covered from the point your app hits the store to the point your customers are using the app. And let's look at that from the customer's perspective. And we start with our first measure. Here is your App Store product page. We have TripGuider, an app we made up for this presentation. The first thing we see is App Store views. We're really excited that for the first time, Apple is providing you developers with a view of your App Store views. All potential, thank you. This is data only Apple can provide. It comes straight from the App Store to you developers. Next, we have app units and sales. This data here gets tracked anytime a potential customer turns into an actual customer and touches your buy button inside your product page. You have this data today in sales and trends if you're familiar with iTunes Connect, but this is different. We're tying this data into a complete picture with App Store views. For the first time, you can see your App Store views and how that drops for app units. Next, we've combined App Store data, billings data, and now we have device data. We have installs. A customer purchases your application, but they may install it on multiple devices. And this is why installs and app units are two different metrics. Once your customer installs the application and starts engaging, we have a new world with device measures. We have sessions, active devices, we have retention, we have this concept of stickiness as well. Stickiness is great. It's a single measure that you can track over time to ensure that you're both growing and retaining customers. If there's one measure you want to look at, it's stickiness. Finally, if your application has in-app purchases, we track that as well. So first time, you can see the entire customer lifecycle from the point the user became a real customer to when they're converting on in-app purchases. This concept of average sales. If you're using any business intelligence today, you may be looking at average revenue per user. This is average sales. We provide that. This, in combination with stickiness, can tell you a really powerful story of how your app's doing and how your customers are performing. So that's the customer's view of this. Let's look at your view, the developer. We have our App Store views. We have our app units, active devices, retention, in-app purchases. This funnel starts to drop, and that makes sense because not every potential customer becomes an actual customer. What does this look like when we start to ask more questions? How does this look by platform? We start to filter this data by iPhone, iPad, iPod Touch. We can see the composition of our App Store views across all of the Apple platforms. We can also answer that App Store presence question. Should I be localizing for Germany? Here, I can see my App Store views in Europe. It's quite high, but my app units in Europe, a little lower. And this makes sense as well, and there's an opportunity there. This is where analytics can help you reveal missed opportunities. If we just localize our app, potentially we can get more app units, and that will help us get more active devices, more retention, more in-app purchases. Maybe it's that simple, and we don't have to release another version of our app to get more downloads in Germany. So this is great. Let's talk about what it actually looks like and show you guys what we've been working on. I think that's why we're here. App Analytics shows up as a new feature inside the new iTunes Connect. It's here beside My Apps. The first view that we see when we click inside Analytics is our app list. This is the overview of your entire mobile business. Here I can see my Trip Guider app at the top. I can see all of my other apps in my suite. I can see filters. I can see the ability to change my time, my date. Let's look at these metrics. So here is the key vitals for an application. Going from the left to the right, I see that life cycle again. It's consistent. Start with my App Store views and then my app units. I see my sessions and my sales. See if they're rising and falling in this period. I can hover over these. I get tooltips telling me what the previous period was as well. And I can select one. And selecting one of these brings us into the heart of this product, which is our metrics page. The first thing you'll notice is that great trend. We can see how we're doing over time. In this situation, we're looking at data from May. I can see over May that my application is increasing in App Store views, which is awesome. I can also change my interval below. I can change this from days to weeks to months. Let's talk about those measures again. Here I have those lifecycle metrics. I have my sales, my store data, I have my engagement data, my device data. I can select any of these and change the chart. Let's look at breaking this down by a particular platform. I select View By. Now I can see how this actually looks across all of the Apple devices. I can see my iPhone, my iPad, my iPod Touch, and it looks like the trend is about the same on all of them. They're all performing equally in this case. It's great. But a customer can't have an iPhone and an iPad at the same time. They're not the same device. They're two different devices. So we look at that as a stacked area. I go to Chart Type. I select Stacked Area. With that, I can now see the composition of iPhone, iPod, iPod Touch. And the sum of these will equal 100% of whatever metric I'm looking at. So there's different chart types for different scenarios. And looking at App Store views, here the area looks the best. We'll choose the sensible default based on the measure you're looking at. Let's swap to another measure. Look at App Store units. Here, there's no issues here. Analytics is providing an answer that my conversions from page views to app units hasn't dropped drastically. It's a little bit lower, but the trend is the same. And on both devices, it's the same. So not a lot of opportunity to improve my iPad App Store presence because it's performing the same as my iPhone. Maybe I improve them all together. Let's go to another measure, in-app purchases. And this is where our team decided that on May 15th, we would lower the price of in-app purchases. And as a result, we got a lot more app purchases that occurred. And we can see that with App Analytics. You can see the spike there. We can see that across all platforms, it performed much better as a result of our change. We also had intuition that changing our in-app purchases would help give more customers more content, and that would result in more engagement, more active devices. So with that, we select in-app purchases, compare to, we select active devices, and now we see our active devices went up, as did our in-app purchases. I can see these layered on top of each other, telling me the story that, yes, our changes to in-app purchases really did impact active devices as well. We've got more revenue from our in-app purchases, and we've got more retention, more engagement from our active devices. So that's metrics, and that's the measures that we provide. There's some questions we haven't answered yet, and we're going to answer that with sources. So what are sources? Sources are all about how people find your app. As developers, you work really hard on your App Store presence, and you have no idea right now how people are getting to your App Store page. We're excited that Sources solves that problem. There's two types. We have websites, we have campaigns. Websites are really simple. It's a link to your App Store page. You're familiar with these links today. Anytime you hand a link to your friends, to your family, to your marketing sites, that link is now tracked in the form of a website as a refer, as a source, and we can see that in App Analytics. And campaigns are that same link with a campaign ID. This is a friendly name that you supply to the URL. Let's talk about what that looks like. It's really simple. This is the URL that hopefully you're familiar with. We add a provider ID. We get this provider ID inside iTunes Connect. And then you add your campaign ID. Friendly name, you want it as friendly as possible because you're going to view this name afterwards. We'll show you that in a second, inside your sources lists. If you're using iAd today to advertise your application, this is automatic. You do not have to go to iAd and set up campaign names for the purposes of App Analytics. It will all happen seamlessly. Any campaign you create in iAd will be automatically tracked and available inside App Analytics, and you can really see the effectiveness of that inside App Analytics without any effort. So what does this look like? Come here, we select sources. We get brought to the sources lists. Here I see my top websites. Beside that, I can see top campaigns. I have the same key vitals that I had on my application list as well. We're really trying to reinforce the story of acquisition to engagement and keep it consistent for you guys. I can select top campaigns. I get brought over to my top campaign list. These are a view of all of those friendly names that we set up. Let's zoom in on one of these here. I can see Spring Email Blast. That was my friendly name. I see my App Store views, my units, my sales, and my sessions, that same life cycle. And this is great. We select that, and we're into this source details. We think that if you're marketers, you're going to love this page. You're going to sit on this page. You're going to share it with your colleagues. We can see all of those key measures as a nice visual. We see it broken down over time as well. Every day has a bar on these key measures. We also see additional measures that you can only get on the metrics page. You can see this broken down by different data types as well. So here we're looking at App Store views by region, by territory, by platform. Changing those drop-downs, I can change the measure that I'm looking at and see exactly how this campaign is performing, how this website is performing, and what exactly the customers are doing as well. So that's sources. We think that you're going to love sources today. You know that people are downloading your app, installing the app. What you don't know is where they're coming from, and we're solving that problem. So we've answered the question, how are people doing in the app? Are they converting on in-app purchases? Where are they coming from? We haven't answered in detail, are people returning? Are they retained? What does that side of the life cycle look like? And we answer that with retention. Let's just do a quick education on retention, why it's important. This is obvious. 100% of your customers are customers on the purchase date. It's really simple. Moving along, 45% are customers on day 2, 35% on day 7, and 20% on day 30. Hopefully these numbers aren't scary, but there's an opportunity there. You can get them higher and higher, and you focus on this. It's really important, because if you have no more customers at day 30 or 90, you're really may have to focus on the next app or improving your content and your marketing to get more. How do we show this in the UI? We select retention, and I can see my purchase date on the left, May 23rd. I can see my days later on the right. Here I'm looking at day 7, and there's a little story. So of the active devices that purchased on May 23rd, 18% remained active 7 days later. So this is great. Single view of how my retention on May 23rd was doing. As developers, as marketers, product managers, we want to look at this with all of our purchase dates stacked on top of each other. So that's the view we're providing. We can say May 24th, and now we show you the rest of this matrix. So May 23rd to June 3rd, I can see my retention stacked, a single quick view of how my day 7 retention is, and you don't have to do anything. This is amazing. So we're providing metrics, sources, retention, your app list. What do you need to do? Nothing. There is no SDK, no third-party code running in your apps, no performance degradation. You don't have to write any new code. This is not an Apple-provided library that you have to embed in your app. You don't have to instantiate it, initialize it. No code is required. No app updates required. You do not have to recompile, re-sign, resubmit your app to the store. You really have to do nothing to take advantage of this. We're doing this because it's all built into the App Store and iOS 8. Everything from the store metrics to the sales metrics to the device metrics is all automatic in the App Store and iOS 8. And what have we kept in mind while doing this? Privacy. So App Analytics has been a really highly requested feature of iTunes Connect. We're excited to bring it to you guys. We're excited to bring it to you with privacy at the forefront. We're not in this business to sell your data. We're not in this business to write informative blog posts about your data. Apple is providing App Analytics as a service to developers, and we love our customers as much as you do, and we respect their privacy as much as we know you would like to as well. Rest assured that as we're building this product, as this product rolls out, the privacy is at the forefront. We're not making any compromises in this area. We're really excited about that, and we think that that's a really unique thing that we're offering. Finally, maybe the best news, it's free. App Analytics, completely free. Lots of great views, lots of great way to see your data, revealing missed opportunities, answering questions. We think you guys are going to love this. We think that you're going to love the setup time, which is nothing. Love the cost. We're excited about this feature. With that, I'd like to bring up Daniel to talk about test flight beta testing.
Thanks, Tristan. Hi, my name is Daniel Miao. I'm a software engineer on iTunes Connect. Now, most of you heard during Tim's keynote on Monday that we're announcing test flight beta testing. Well, we're very excited to have this opportunity today to bring you more details about this great feature. Now, before we get started, how many of you have used test flight in the past? Great. Well, whether you've used test flight or not, I'm sure we could all agree that great beta testing tools go a long way. We'd all like to see less of these and more of these. So before we get into the details, let's talk a little bit about the history of beta distribution. In the beginning, beta distribution looked a lot like this. Whenever you wanted to test your app on your device, you would connect your device to your computer, transfer your binary over, and test from there. At some point, you probably decided it'd be helpful to have others also take a look at your app before you publish it to the App Store. So each time you want to add a tester, you would ask the tester for the device UDID. You would go to the developer portal, set up provisioning profiles, and then you would send your tester the binary. They would connect their device to their computer, transfer the binary over, and they would start testing. Of course, you'd have to do this for every single one of your testers. So what did we do for you during this period? How did we change your beta distribution experience? Well, we went from this to this. We think we can do better. With a new TestFlight beta testing platform, you can distribute your apps to not 1, not 100, not 500, but up to 1,000 testers. Now, these are testers, not devices. In fact, each of your testers can test on multiple devices. Next, UDIDs and provisioning profiles. You no longer need to worry about these. All you need to get a tester started is an email address. So let's talk a little bit about the two sides of the new platform. You start out in iTunes Connect. As you work on your project, you upload your builds to iTunes Connect. And from iTunes Connect, you can manage these builds, manage the testers, distribute these builds to your testers, and as they're testing, you can come back to get insight into their activity. Now, once your testers receive an invitation to to test your app, they download the TestFlight iOS app, and from here they can manage what apps they want they're testing. They can perform one-tap installs and updates, and they can send you feedback. So while we were working on these features, we discovered that building great apps requires a flexible process. Everything from iterating with your development team to distributing to a wider audience. So we came up with internal and beta testers. Now, internal testers are made up of your iTunes Connect users. A beta tester is anyone with an email address. You can have up to 25 internal testers and up to 1,000 beta testers. As you upload builds to iTunes Connect, your internal testers will have access to these builds right away. And beta app review will be required for you to unlock your 1,000 testers. But while your build is in review, you can continue to upload new builds, and your internal testers can continue to test, and you can continue to manage your testers in iTunes Connect. Finally, sandbox accounts. As each of your testers signs into the iOS app for the first time, they'll automatically have a sandbox account created for them. What this means is that you don't need to come into iTunes Connect anymore to create test accounts. We want your testers to be able to test all aspects of your application, including in-app purchases. So let's see what this all looks like. Here we are. We're back on the version page of the new iTunes Connect. And you'll notice a pre-release tab. If we click this, we'll see a list of the builds that we've uploaded in Xcode. So let's say you want to test build number 103. In order to do this, we first have to enter metadata for our testers so they have something to see when they receive their invitation. So we click into this build. We enter things like a description, And we also tell the tester what we'd like them to test specifically on this build. After we've had this information inputted, we hit save, and we come back to the build list. Once we're on the build list, we come to the corner, we click the testing switch, turn on testing, and that build is now available to our internal testers. So let's say we want to upload another build to our internal testers, keep iterating, maybe upload one more. Now, we're confident that 105 is a build that we want to distribute more broadly to our beta testers. In order to do this, we click the Submit button next to the build, and after review, this is now also available to our beta testers. You'll notice here that there's a 30-day expiration on this build, so we know exactly when we need to upload the next build for our testers. Now let's take a look at managing beta testers. Here we are on the beta testers list. We see everybody that we've added or invited. We see what they're doing. We can see that some of our testers have installed the app and they're already testing. Some of them have accepted the invite, but they haven't installed yet. And some have not even accepted the invitations yet. For the ones who have installed, we see the latest build that they've installed. And if we want to add another tester, we come up here to the top, we click the plus button, add a few email addresses, hit submit, and those testers are ready to go. So that's the iTunes Connect side. Now let's take a look at the tester experience in iOS. Here we are on the device. This is the Mail app, and this is an invitation that we've received from a developer. We see the name of the app that we've been invited to test, and we see a link that says Open in Test Flight. So let's go ahead and tap that. Here we are in the Test Flight app. From here, we can install our app. And once we've done that, we can just start testing. A few things to note here. There's a send feedback link. You, as a tester, can tap this to send feedback to your developer via email. There's also the what to test section, which we talked about earlier, the developer telling us what they'd like us to test specifically on the latest build. Now, if we tap the test flight link in the top corner, this will take us back to the list of apps that we're actively testing. From here, we can open any of these apps. We can take a look at the what to test notes, and we look at the version that we're testing. Now let's go back to the home screen for a minute. Here, we see the app that we've installed, and we'll see a badge, a little orange badge next to the name of the app that we had just installed. This indicates that this app is currently being tested. It's a beta build of the app. And oh, what's this? We got a notification. This is telling us that there's a new build available for us to test. So if you tap that, it'll take us back into the app, into Test Flight. From here, we can update the app, and we're on our way. And that's Test Flight, the iOS app. So in summary, we can have up to 1,000 testers for each of our apps with beta testing. We no longer need to manage UDIDs or provisioning profiles. We can perform one-tap installs and updates. Sandbox accounts are automatically created for our testers to be able to test in-app purchases. And there's all new Test Flight app for iOS. And that's beta testing. Back to Dave.
All right. Thank you, Daniel. We have a few things to wrap up here before we conclude. Every year, we ask App Review if you had a few tips and tricks we could give to developers at the Developers Conference, what would they be? App Review does a great job. I looked right before I got on stage. 94% of all updates are reviewed within 5 days. And here are some suggestions that can help get your app through App Review. Number 1, app name versus keywords. Your app name is not the place to list all those different words that you want people to search on so they can find your app. That's what keywords is for. IDFA, if you serve ads, then ads must be present in your app. The description and screenshots must match your app, and I would add to this, app preview will probably be on this list next year. When you're ready to submit in-app purchases for review, you need to make sure that all aspects of the in-app purchase work. If you need a service up and running so the auto-renewables work, that needs to be ready, not when your in-app purchase is live on the App Store, but when you submit it to App Review. If your app gets metadata rejected and you submit it again without making a change to that metadata, it will just get rejected a second time. I say that because they say it happens. Just a friendly note. As always, make sure you have rights for all the content, the keywords in your app. This would apply to screenshots, app previews, anything. And lastly, testing. I'm very happy that this has lowered itself down on the list this year. One thing of note is that if you're building an iPhone app, it needs to also work on an iPad. Not to be outdone, the app submission team said, hey, we have some suggestions. We want to help give people some things to think about before they submit their app to App Review. IDFA, again, answer these questions correctly in iTunes Connect. If you serve ads, if you're using IDFA, make sure you answer those questions the right way. We get a fair number of apps delivered where they don't have all the right icons. Make sure all your required icons are in your project before you submit. Tool chains and bad signature, these kind of invalid binary messages can all be solved by making sure that you upload and create your app in the latest version of Xcode. And Mac app sandboxing, if you're going to submit a Mac app to the App Store, make sure you check that box in Xcode before doing so. A little note about iTunes Connect for iOS. I hope many of you have already gotten the latest update. We released it a few weeks ago. This was our first foray or step into the redesign. Updated pages, sales and trends. Take a look at your 5-week, your 2-week, your 26 weeks information. New page view, iTunes Connect for iOS. From the palm of your hand, you can release the latest version live into the App Store. So today we talked about the new design for iTunes Connect, a nice new UI as well as some cleaner flows, app previews, 15 to 30 seconds of dynamic video so you can show what makes your app magical. App bundles. Bundle up to 10 of your apps together, providing people in the App Store with one install to get all of these apps. App analytics. This is the best end-to-end view of your app with data that only Apple can provide. And test flight beta testing. If you haven't been beta testing your apps until now, you have no reason not to. Just like iOS 8 and OS X Yosemite, these features will be released later this fall. For more information, you can write to evangelism@apple.com. There's the Contact Us form on iTunes Connect. This really is the best way to get your questions answered by the right person. We take a lot of time to navigate those emails based off your questions appropriately. There's iTunes Connect Dev Guide you can get on developer.apple.com, as well as the dev forums. Lots of good information there. We have some related sessions later today, optimizing in-app purchases. If you have any questions on how exactly to use in-app purchases, check that out. What's new in iAd Workbench? As Tristan mentioned, privacy matters. So we have a session on user privacy in iOS and OS X. Tomorrow, advanced user interfaces with collection views. This is a great session where we'll talk about that and show how we used it in creating iTunes Connect for iOS. And the session I mentioned earlier about creating great app previews, again, right before the bash tomorrow, I encourage you to check that one out as well. And with that, that's all we have today. Hope you have a great day and the rest of the conference. Bye.